In this video, we can dive more into the MIDI editor and take a look at note expression. Now, note expression is a great way to add more character to your MIDI performances. And the word expression actually explains it quite well because it makes the MIDI performance more expressive. So to get to the note expressions, you click on this icon over here. And then this opens up the expression lane. As you can see, you've got different types of expression. You've got velocity, chance, timbre, pressure, gain, and pan. And for this video, I just want to focus in on velocity and pan because I think you'll get a very good understanding on how expressive you can be. Now, a thing to understand is that note expression is at a note level. So on each MIDI note, you can change the expression. For example, let's take a look at this drum hit. It's just a simple kick, and I want to edit the velocity. Now, with velocity, basically the best way of understanding this is at the highest mount, you're going to have the highest velocity, meaning it's going to trigger the loudest notes. And then if you drag this down, you're going to have a very soft velocity. But as you can see, as I'm dragging this up and down, it's not really having any effect. And that's because you need to make sure that the instrument within Bitwig is got velocity sensitivity turned up. So on this instrument, I've got a drum machine container, and within that drum machine, there's an E-kick, which is a sampled instrument of a kick, and then over here is the velocity sensitivity. So if I turn this up and then go back to this drum machine and now drag this around, let me just move back here. You can hear how it's changing the velocity of that kick. So I can have a strong hit and then blend it in over here. So you've got something more like this. So obviously, little things like this are going to add character to your kick. So I'm just going to take everything off. As you notice, this velocity is the velocity that got inputted in when I recorded in that MIDI note. So if you've got a MIDI keyboard controller and it detects your velocity, you're going to input that velocity into your recording. If you're using a caps lock key, it's going to be set at a fixed note. So you can go in and adjust this accordingly. And obviously, you can always jump back to the instrument and change the sensitivity. So I'm going to move this about halfway and come back in. And I much prefer it being less sensitive. So that is velocity. Now let's take a look at pan. For this, I want to go over to this quiet jazz Rhodes. And what I actually want to do is duplicate it. So I'm going to right click on it and say duplicate. So I don't actually want to mess with the original. And then I'm going to solo this. And what I want to do is go into the MIDI notes. I'm just going to hide this expression for now. And I don't want all the extra melody that's happening in this. So I'm just going to make some selections and get rid of that. So I'm just left with a few notes, and you'll see why in a sec. So I'm just going to remove all of this. Okay, so that should be good. So now what we're left with is this. Now you're really going to see how expression comes into its own when I jump to the expression here and we take a look at panning. Basically, what you can do is pan your notes around in the stereo field. Now, that is pretty unique. So you've got an instrument here. Normally what you do on a mixer channel is you'd either pan the instrument to the left or the right or mix it in between. But here I can do it on a note level. So for example, let's take this note and I'm going to pan it to the right. If I take this note, I can pan it to the left. Hear that? That's on the left. Now this one, let's pan it maybe not so wide to the right as well. And then this one to the left as well. So we've got nothing in the center, but we've got this note that's panned around now. Now you can't really hear that too clearly. So what I'm going to do now is take all these notes, pan these to the left. Maybe just move them around so they're not all exact same spot. And all these notes, I'm going to push them to the right. And And just to make it a bit more interesting, I'm going to take this note and have it more to the center, and this note all the way to the left. So take a listen here. It's quite crazy, I must say. Now, to try and do that with a single instrument, you would have had to bounce it down to different instrument tracks, and then on each instrument track, pan them around. And now you've just got one instrument, and you can do panning with just the note expression by giving it more expressiveness. So that should really give you a very good understanding on how you can use these note expressions. I only touched on velocity and pan, but you can really go into quite detail by using pressure sensitivity. If you've got pressure sensitivity on your MIDI keyboard controller, you can use some chance elements. Timbre is involved with instruments within Bitwig Studio that support timbre. And then you can also do gain, which is the gain that happens before the instrument. You can go in there and adjust gain levels of things as well. So that works as a different way as opposed to velocity. So as you can see, by just using two different note expressions, you can really go in and add a lot more expressiveness to your performances and get a lot of interest. I personally really have a lot of fun with this pan one, especially with chords when you can pan different notes within a chord to different sides and make it sound really wide. So definitely try this out and see if it works for you. Now, in the next video, let's take a look at note effects. Catch you in the next video.